Alright, a new 7-star just got rated. Let's go check it out. Hold up, this is like Time Machine. Wow, guys, I think we've lowered the standards now. That's amazing. I think the community must be super happy about this. Yeah, this plays just like... How the fuck did I miss that pad? Alright, well, I've already beat this, but let's go check who made the level. Subwoofer, that sounds like a very familiar name. Let's go see who it is. Oh, 127 creator points. A moderator. Yep, you guys, that is a pure example of favoritism. Chaotic is by means not a bad level. It is a solid level. However, the problem is that the level ends up in the fate of popularity bias. RobTop rated this level because he is familiar with the creator of the level. RobTop doesn't know the community that well, so this is how he goes on about rating levels. The community has been fighting for lowered standards, yet this level clearly has a set for that. New entry creators who strive to get their level rated for the first time without having a certain recognition within the game is the equivalent of talking to a fucking wall. Lower standards are only privileged for popular creators or moderators. Popularity is key. You need to be significantly recognized by the community. Then your odds of getting level rated is increased. Until then, some projects won't be rated because RobTop has its own fucking tastes that don't align with yours. This is the next thing that leads to a decline of favoritism. Hiring elder moderators to rate levels as well rather than one person. The community has been pitching this idea for years. Yet, RobTop has shown no proposition of carrying this idea forward. Now imagine having the benefits for this future. There will be more variety offered to the table. Unnecessary drama will be disqualified. Standards can be lowered by a margin for smaller creators. It makes it easier for RobTop to code on his game. You can have so much potential in the creating side of the community, yet problems cannot be resolved because RobTop is unresponsive to these kinds of topics. What a surprise! We're moving on to the recent Demon List situation, which revolves around the two best players in the game who has been fighting for their verifications to be pushed to the top 1 spot. This all started when W Popoff buffed the first click of Amethyst to ensure it was impossible with CBF. And what do you know, the Demon List decided to spare Zoink's sanity by allowing him to play the pre-buff copy of Amethyst so that he could fucking cheese his way through with the CBF copy. W Popoff verified the level without CBF, so the fact that someone else was decimating the level with CBF caused them to ensure that all fairness was played. In my opinion, this is a reasonable change to make. However, the Demon List went into a pure bias mode by sucking Zoink's dick with the installment of a copy that is different than the rated level. Before, you were supposed to beat a copy that shared the same resemblance with the officially rated level. After that drama died down, it would reunite again when W Popoff started making immense progress on TS2 and proclaimed it was much easier than Amethyst. These two players are up to the neck, including invalidation from fucking 10-year-olds deciding on a community poll which is fucking harder when their hardest is fucking decode. This has left the decision making in shambles. This is a repeating of a verification bias which occurred a few years ago when Zanny said Tartarus was easier than Sonic Wave Infinity. At the end of the day, it's only until a third player like SerVax, for example, who completes both the levels and can officially declare which one is harder. This is the best way to resolve this issue as verification bias wouldn't be implemented. However, let's be honest, this will take months for this to happen. Now, if this were to happen and SerVax managed to pull off the 2 levels, the Demon List may not even consider his opinion as factual. Simply put, history is repeating itself, as we never learned from Space UK's biased takes on the Demon List. The same thing will apply to Zoink's dominance over the Demon List, as he is regarded as objectively the number 1 player. Once you've become the best player in the game, you can control where the levels are positioned on the list. We've mentioned about top playing bias. However, people like to compare top players within skill. Essentially, a community poll of who's, well, the top 3 player for an example. Those discussions happen to feel like people compare them on over who's popular and declare them as more skillful than the other players. Now, the third best player is a hard definition to accurately trace of who fits in that criteria. In the stats sphere, it's Trick. However, he's slowly losing motivation to play the game, and many people like myself believe he does not place in the 3rd spot. That is until you have fucking delusional idiots who think that Doggy would be the third best player because of his progress on grief. Of course, this is what they can only think of because Doggy's just popular and no one else comes to mind. Assuming he's fit for number 3 because he's playing one of the most hardest and anticipating levels is absolutely absurd. You have reasonable candidates like SerVax, Tygo, or A6, all of whom are overshadowed by Doggy's presence in the top playing community. Speaking of overshadowing, don't get me started on TCD. Now, before I talk about TCD, I just want to say that I absolutely adore the concept of TCD, and I enjoy watching their videos. A content house for Josh Dash is something we've needed for a while, and these players brought that to the table. However, I need to call out on TCD for this specific problem that has been lurking since the creation of the channel, and that is the over-obsession with Doggy, and how they use his popularity to market their videos. His face is slammed on every fucking thumbnail, practically making TCD his third channel, a channel that only centers around one person rather than the other 6 members. Oh, sorry, it's 5, because the GD community decided to bully the fuck out of Toph and overreacted like a bunch of baby-back bitches because Toph said some political shit in the past, which he clearly doesn't stand by today. Anyways, of course everyone gets their spotlights in the videos, but their practice by just using the most popular YouTuber in their group for attraction just only further proves the point of people proclaiming the channel as caring about money only. I'm not trying to denounce Doggy as a YouTuber, he deserves the best. However, his cock-sucking fanbase ruins his image and credibility. Now, we got a little carried away with that. I just felt like I needed to call out on some bullshit that's spiraling around in the community. But yeah, that's my thoughts on about how players are compared in terms of skill. It's not based on skill, it's based on who's active and popular. For example, Z-Levy. He just started his progress on Flamelaw, and everyone has gone down at their knees, immediately pitch shifting him to the 3rd spot of the top 3 players. Top players are always thrown around in the crowd because people cannot universally agree about who would be the best candidate of being the 3rd best player. So that wraps up with this video. The Josh Dash community is screwed by popularity bias in terms of rate standards, bias placements, and top player comparison. There could be other factors that I could get into, but I'm sure people will understand the examples that I've just listed. And if you made it here, please like and subscribe and help my bitch ass get carried by the algorithm. I don't know, do something that pushes my channel forward. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.